The launch of a new BMW 2 Series is a very exciting moment for driving enthusiasts. This is because they consider the 2 Series to be the best driver's BMW in the manufacturer's current range. It is the Bavarian's smallest rear-wheel drive model, and that makes it the most fun to throw around and to drive on a twisty mountain road. And today I'm driving the brand new 2 Series, the G42, which is why I've come to my favorite mountain road. The vehicle that I'm driving today is almost perfectly spec'd, but I'm not sure the diesel engine that lies under the hood is suitable for this car. But I digress. Let's first talk about the G42. It is around 10 centimeters longer than the previous model. It is quite a bit wider too. The wheelbase is also bigger, and the result is a bigger vehicle. It is also on average around 100 kilos heavier, but comparing versions of this new model with the same version of the old model, even though these new cars are heavier, they are around 1 or 2 tenths quicker to sprint to 100 kilometers per hour, even though their engines are identical as well. In the previous 2 Series, I didn't fit behind myself. I mean, there was this much room between the front seat and the cushion for the rear seat, and that's not enough space for someone's legs. In this, I can just about fit behind myself, although I am still a bit pressed for headroom. But someone who is slightly shorter than me, I am 183 centimeters tall, they might not have a problem back there. Trunk space in the new G42 is exactly the same as in the old G22, 390 liters. And it's a pretty, it's okay. For 2 people, for an extended weekend getaway, it's fine. And since this is a cheaper rear-wheel drive BMW, the boot lid is not electrically operated, but it is light and you can pull it down very easily. It's not really a problem. So my tester is a 220D with an automatic 8-speed gearbox, the only one you can get. And it is a combination that we've seen in dozens and dozens of BMWs over the last 5 or so years. The engine is a 2-liter, it makes 190 horsepower, and peak torque is 400 Newton meters, delivered between 1750 and 2500 RPM. This car is also a mild hybrid, so there's also an 11 horsepower electric motor. Well, it's an integrated starter generator that kicks in for brief squirts of acceleration to give you extra shove. And you even get a visual representation of it. So in the digital gauge cluster, at least in sport mode, when you floor it, the speedo lights up the inner part. It lights up blue, and I'm pretty sure that's to tell you you are being helped by the mild hybrid. Now honestly, as I said at the start of the video, this powertrain is a bit underwhelming for a very, very sorted and sporty coupe such as the 2 Series, especially if you get the optional sport suspension and big wheels with sticky tires, then it just doesn't make sense. Even though when you put it in sport mode, BMW has set this vehicle up to deliver fake engine noise. Now I know enthusiasts normally hate this kind of stuff, but actually I don't mind it in this 220, just because the diesel, the 4-cylinder under the hood, is quite muted. And when you put it in sport mode, it pumps in a bassy note, and it feels like it pumps it in through the subwoofers under the seat. And I actually think it makes the vehicle more exciting. Yes, it is totally fake. There's no reason for it to exist. The engine itself has no problem. It is very, very punchy, even though this vehicle is a bit heavier than before. You do notice that it is lighter and smaller than a 3 Series or 4 Series, and I've tried this very engine in those vehicles, among others. It shares its CLAR platform with virtually all other rear-wheel drive BMWs that you can buy today. And it's just as sure-footed, just as stuck to the tarmac as any new BMW. And it's a great platform. This vehicle is, even though it's a diesel, it is fun to drive, especially when you have the time and eagerness to take it to a road like this one. What you will enjoy in the G42, regardless of engine choice, although you will enjoy it more if you get the M240i with almost 380 horsepower and a sprint time to 100 kilometers per hour in 4.3 seconds. But even in this diesel, which sprints to 100 kilometers per hour in 7.9 seconds and onto a top speed of 237 kilometers per hour, you're still going to enjoy the excellent chassis, which is the reason why this vehicle excites enthusiasts. There are two other 2 Series badged models in the BMW lineup, but they are not related to this car. So you have the 2 Series Grand Coupe, which is it's a direct rival to the Mercedes-Benz A-Class sedan. So it is a front-wheel drive vehicle that is more related to a Mini than it is to other BMWs. The other one is the 2 Series Active Tourer, which just got a new version that I hope I'll be able to drive soon, and it has a gigantic grille. But the 2 Series Active Tourer is a more family-oriented people mover. Rear-wheel drive is, as many people say, the ideal layout because it allows the front wheels to handle most of the braking and steering, leaving the rear wheels to just propel you forward. And all these characteristics are exhibited by the 2 Series. It reminds us why rear-wheel drive cars are so great. It is just so pointy and so planted, and sometimes even eager to swing its tail out. Although with these very sticky Continental super sporty winter tires, in these quite warm temperatures, the car just does not want to unstick. I tried sliding its back end around a few hairpins, but it just won't budge, even with everything turned off. This is, of course, testament to the mechanical grip that the chassis provides. But it's also the super sticky tires. But you can still enjoy this car's 50-50 weight balance. If you've not driven a BMW quickly, the 50-50 weight balance makes the vehicle quite predictable and forgiving. And when you lose grip or the vehicle is sideways or something, a vehicle with even weight distribution between its two axles will just respond more progressively, and it's easier to handle, basically. The G42's front end is really pointy. And thanks to the mild hybrid system, it just powers its way out of corners. It just does not want to unstick. Anyway, so my tester has the sporty steering wheel, these amazing electric sport seats, which not only look fantastic in this brown leather, but they also hold you really well. They are a bit firm, I will concede to that, but I think it suits this car's sporty character. My tester also has this optional M pattern here on the door that is actually backlit. It also has these optional seat belts with the M colors and the black headliner. On the outside, this car has the full M performance treatment, or, well, not, I'm sure you can add more carbon bits, but those are stupid expensive and they would not have been fitting for this diesel, I think. So it has the front and rear M Sport bumpers and the side sills, which are, interestingly for this car, they are actually painted in the same dark glossy gray as the lower part of the rear bumper. One thing I appreciate about the M Sport rear bumper is that it only has one exhaust poking through it, and that exhaust is real. It just doesn't make sense to have a dual exhaust for a 2-liter. I mean, it's a single exhaust all the way to the back, and then it splits right in front of the bumper and you get 2 exhausts. It's just pointless. I mean, even BMW does this on the 3 Series. The 320d has 2 exhausts. I mean, sure, it looks cool, and I appreciate that BMW still makes real exhausts, not some corny fake ornaments, but don't overdo it, you know? My car also has the optional M Performance 19-inch wheels that are finished in a dark gray matte type of powder coat or paint. I'm not even sure what it is. The car also has the optional brakes with 2 piston front calipers. They're good, but as with all non-M BMWs, they aren't quite as good as you expect them, especially if you beat on them, because we experienced brake fade on this road today when we were shooting the video, and we didn't drive it that hard. I remember I experienced this when I drove the BMW M240i a few years ago. And that was a really powerful 1 Series. And back then we took it to a similar road, although not as pretty as this one. And after driving it for a while there, I started experiencing constant brake fade. And I remember that under that video, the M240i review, some people commented that, oh, they own the car and the brakes are fine. But I really wonder how hard they actually drove the vehicle before making that assessment, because it seems to be consistently true. And I mean, the rotors are ventilated, they are quite big, and they do stop the car, but repeatedly stopping it takes its toll on them. The starting price for the new 2 Series in Romania is 37,520 euros for a 220i, while for a 220d you will pay from 40,436 euros. The current range topper, the M240i xDrive, costs from 55,335 euros. BMW isn't currently offering a manual transmission, but let's hope that changes as more engine variants are added. My tester was a very well-spec'd M Sport model that costs 61,336 euros. If you want your 220D with the M pack, that bumps the starting price to almost 46,000. But you do get the aggressive exterior makeover, the M steering wheel with paddles, which was also heated in my tester, sport seats, which were also heated and electric in my tester, the lower and stiffer suspension, variable ratio steering as standard, sporty looking 18-inch wheels, and a sporty looking exhaust tip poking through the rear bumper. What brought my tester's price up were options like the cognac leather upholstery for the sport seats, which adds 1,600 euros, the 898M style frozen gunmetal grey 19-inch wheels, which cost 2,870 euros, the M Sport Pro Pack, which adds the front bumper splitter, sport tuning for the Steptronic transmission, the Shadowline exterior, which includes the headlights that actually get darker elements inside, to name but a few. In terms of the way this car looks, I subjectively think that it is a great looking BMW. I appreciate the fact that it doesn't have an oversized grille and no fussy weird details. Although I can honestly say that the rear light clusters seem strange to me. Their cutout in the rear fascia and in the fenders appears to show a bigger light cluster. But when you look at it, it's just a lot of blank plastic with a strip of LEDs and the indicator and a small spot for the reversing lights. I mean, that's a lot of real estate for not much light. And I wonder if that feels like it had a different design, but BMW decided against it along the way, and they realized that it would be too expensive to retool for the new body panels to accommodate the lights. So they worked out a compromise. I mean, that's what they look like to me. I have no complaints about the headlights though. In photos, they looked kind of weird. And I remember looking through the spy photos when this vehicle was just about to be revealed, but it had not been revealed, and it just looked so fussy and weird and ugly is the word I'm looking for. However, I could not have been more wrong about it. It is a brilliant looking thing. It is a real head turner, especially finished in Portimao blue, like my tester, and with the dark colored rims and with the subtle boot lid spoiler. It just looks the business. I like this car, I really do, but I don't think you should buy the diesel, although I will concede that it is very, very relaxed on longer journeys. So if what you plan on doing with your 2 Series is just going up and down the highway, then by all means, you can get the diesel, and you will still have fun on the occasional back road where you want to slot it into sport and just test the limits of grip. Otherwise, you can just go for the slightly less powerful and not as quick 220i, but it is also some 70 or 80 kilos lighter than this. So it should be even more nimble and enjoyable to drive, and at least you can rev that engine out to close to 7,000 RPM. And it's a much more enjoyable vehicle. It also sounds good with that engine too. Although I will point out that even this 220D, from the outside, the exhaust is not as bad as you might expect for a diesel. But cruising up to this road, the diesel made a lot of sense. It used like 5-ish liters per 100 kilometers on the extra urban cycle. And now my combined average is 10.6 after hooning it around this road. I think I'm gonna turn around and try to provoke some oversteer on these bends here. Kind of, but not really. Okay, you have to be brutal with it, I get it. So, in conclusion, I think this is one of the most, if not the most, lovable BMWs in the manufacturer's current lineup. It is not a technology flagship, it has fairly small screens and it has iDrive 7, so it's not the most advanced. But we've grown used to these screens in BMWs, there's nothing new about them, but they are also good. And I'm one of the people who actually likes the reversed rev counter, which in this vehicle, in comfort mode, it turns into like a power reserve gauge, like in a Rolls-Royce. And if you put it in eco mode, the same dial turns into your instant fuel consumption meter. And you can still have your power and torque graphics in the center. I think it's good use of space. But even though it's not a technology flagship, that's just by BMW standards. So you still get the around view cameras, which even though they might not be the best on the market, like they were when BMW introduced this feature some 5-ish, maybe 6 years ago, but they are better than the average in the automotive industry still. The 2 Series, even though it has grown and is heavier, it doesn't really have any natural rivals. There are currently no premium rear-wheel drive coupes in its size bracket, making it a thoroughly unique proposition, especially if you want a diesel. It only really goes up against the Toyota GR86 and the new Subaru BRZ, and to a lesser extent the Audi TT, but that's literally pretty much it. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching until the end. Subscribe to the channel if you've not done so already, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.